Good day, everyone. It's not December yet, so I can't say Merry Christmas. It's not. When is December? It's Friday, Saturday.
Saturday. So tomorrow for us. I think for everybody else.
Yeah, and also nobody's in yet because we've just started and we haven't pre-announced this. Wow, what a day! Let me just wait until a few of you come in. I haven't made it live. I'm sure. Just check that it's live. So just check that we've made it live. But I'll wait until a few of you pop in and maybe say hello before I explain what we've been up to. Hello. Well, don't start doing the finger in front of the camera. Ignatius, how are you? Jan, good morning from Australia. I'm sure it's not necessarily Australia for everybody. See if I can get comfortable. Drag the chair around. Hey, Jonathan, good day. Hope you're all having or have had a wonderful day. Hi, Sarah. And Alan, bonjour. Ça va? Ça va bien? Oui. Wow, we had a day yesterday. Michelle and I went mountain climbing. It was meant to be a fairly nice climb. We went up a mountain called Mount Oberon. I always want to say Mount Oberoi. Oberoi is actually a hotel chain that I know quite well. So Mount Oberon, and it wasn't really. It's not a physical sort of climb. We weren't belaying and sort of cabling up the side of the mountain, but it was pretty high and it turned out to be beautiful. At the bottom of the mountain, it said it was the leaflet we picked up said it was an hour round trip. So we thought, well, that can't be too bad. But it turned out that even if you were going at some pace, it was at least an hour, maybe a little bit over to get up. And probably about an hour to get down, even though it was faster coming down. But it was fantastic. We had such a good time. It wasn't as quiet and tranquil as we might have thought. Quite a popular spot here in Victoria. So we met lots of people. But the beauty of the trip was that we met lots of people and they were lots of fun. And that was the other thing, Jonathan, saying about the temperature. Hey, Casey. Not up the mountain. There's no fishing up the mountain, Casey. But we did meet some really fun people. There was quite a few people. When I say a few, there may be about a dozen, 2 dozen other groups that were going up, and it was a fairly nice walk because although when you get to the top you felt you were on the pinnacle of a mountain, there was a bit of a climb at the last moment. The steps going up were not real steps, they were just like stone boulders that were set in the thing, and they were quite close. There was a big drop. Michelle didn't like it at all. There's quite a big drop off, and although it was a climb and we had our backpacks and we had plenty of nourishment with us and water, it was not too hard to do. I reckon almost anybody could have done it, and the views were amazing. When you got to the very top, you were literally just on that boulder on top of the mountain. So that was a good day yesterday. Aching a little bit today, a bit stiff. If I jumped up now, I'd probably sort of collapse back down. And I just wanted, because this weekend we're going to start posting a series, but it's a kind of remake. If I can explain to you, we've had a notification now from YouTube that all of our older videos where we had sort of, I would say, it's useful, that little picture there, where I say, click here to see part 2. They've gotten rid of all of that, but literally they're going to turn that off, that function off in I think in December sometime this month. So any of our old Christmas recipes that were in series or parts or referred to anything at all are going to look really silly. I was looking at one of the ones that's really popular, and it just doesn't make sense because so what we've been doing. So who's in there? So Ahmed, how are you? Lovely to see you, man. Byron, I'm always good. So a lot of those, what I think are really good recipes, real classic Christmas sort of recipes, they've got a bit dated in their format. We're not able to refilm everything because, you know, traveling, it's really hard to do. But what I have been doing, and it's taken me ages to do, is remastering, if you like, some of the older videos, compressing them down, improving the color on them. And I started doing it, thought there was just 2 or 3 that I wanted to do, and then it turned out that there were a dozen or so or more that have. Many of you may not have seen them, that are just real classic Christmas recipes that just needed to be tidied up and brought into the new sort of YouTube format. So it is taking quite a time, but it does mean that I'm ending up with dozens of maybe a dozen or more videos, great recipes that I'm going to be putting up this December. So that, and on top of that, we've been doing a lot of outdoor filming. I've got heaps to share with you. I've got to just find the time to edit, but I've got heaps to share with you from around about Victoria. The climb yesterday at the mountain, we filmed a lot of that. So, and I wanted to put that all up in December. So it's going to be more videos than normal. We're going to be putting up remakes of some of the Christmas recipes. And I've got to get those up really soon because I want to share with you some really great ideas. I want everybody out there making Christmas cakes and mince pies and Christmas puddings and their own mince meat. So I want all that stuff up early enough to encourage you to get and just have some of these delicious treats. And in the meantime, we'll be chucking up quite a few out and about vlogs. We've even got a trip up to Sydney. So we'll be doing some filming there. So I think it's going to be quite a busy. We haven't worked out the schedule because if you think about it, it's December. You know, December starts. It's only 24 days. I've probably got. Well, at the moment, I've got about 5 recipes that I've been working on, including particularly this weekend. I want to start with our cake.
That's what Jonathan Mayhew says. So your Christmas cake video was the first one of yours I saw, and it hooked me on your channel. I've been rewatching a lot of them recently.
Thanks, Jonathan. What I've done with that Christmas cake, if you look, it was done in a series because we filmed it as we made it. So I'd make it and feed it. What I've done is I've compiled that down to one video. I've cut out a lot of the hocus pocus that didn't need to be in there, cleaned up the colors, high syntax, cleaned up a lot of the hocus pocus, condensed it into one video and made it more friendly to the YouTube. So there won't be the call to action, sort of like follow this video here and hey Boda, no, we've not long started.
Keith Penman says good day.
Good day, Keith. She's on the chat, so hopefully should grab me if
Nisha said I just started the Christmas cake recipe a couple of weeks ago.
Right now, as I say, there are a lot of these going up over the Christmas period are repeats, but if we've been told by YouTube that we can't use any of those calls to action that we used to have, so I think I've remastered them nicely. I'm going to be putting up lots of vlogs. I mean, I could almost do a video a day, but I think we'll probably be doing. I don't want to. I physically haven't got the time to do the edits, so I need to have some. Like today, I wanted to have a chat with you all, but also I've been editing. I got up this morning around about, I started editing about 7:30, 8 o'clock. We've just finished rendering off a video that's going up for this weekend. Tomorrow I'm going to be, I've re-edited I haven't remade it. These are older videos, but be aware. But Marzipan, if any of you haven't made your own Marzipan, because I know I've met a lot of people that don't like Marzipan, but when you make it yourself.
I don't like Marzipan from the store.
No, Michelle won't eat. Because if you look, you get a packet of Marzipan from the store and you flip the packet over and read it, it's basically sugar and flavorings and like a pinch of almond. And Marzipan actually is predominantly almond. And sugar, and if you want it that extra little sort of poke, you do put some Marzipan. Excuse me, slurper tea.
Syntax Al says, I love your mince pie recipe, made it last Christmas for the first time.
Well, that's the thing. We're going to be looking at those videos again. Some of the earlier ones have got lots of annotations, call to action, which YouTube have got rid of now. So I was watching one of my favorite mince pie recipes, just seeing how it ran, and there's loads of little pictures that come up saying, you know, click here for this and click here for that, and they don't work because YouTube they're still there now, I think, or YouTube, we got a message in the box saying they're all being deleted from our channel, so we need to rethink about them. So we're working on that. So it's going to be a really busy December.
I've just got what Bona meant. What's Marzipan? What's Marzipan?
Oh, I knew.
I am a bit slow.
Michelle's slow. I knew what you meant. Marzipan. Marzipan. It is quite often you'll see. When I was a kid, they used to get little marzipan animals and flowers, and so people would model with it. They used to do modeling, and you quite often see little fruits, like they really did the apples. I don't know if any of you've ever seen the little marzipan fruits you can make, but they'd use a little bit of colouring, dust colouring, just to sort of make them, and they look like perfect little pears and apples, but they were made out of marzipan. You could eat them. And my mother was a huge fan of marzipan. When I was a child, I never really liked it that much. And then I started to, I got quite a glare off that window. It's okay. So my mother was a huge fan of marzipan, and I never really liked it. And then I started making my own marzipan, and I like almonds. Are you moderating, Michelle? Because you don't seem to be. Okay. Oh, it's coming slower on my screen. Michelle's on top of it. I'm going to have to make some of you guys, like, give you some moderating effects. If we get the odd sort of Herbert come in, we can get down on them pretty quick.
Jonathan says marzipan is delicious. Have not made my own yet. Made my cake already, but may have a crack in it.
Is that the Christmas cake? Don't worry about the crack so much. Is it cracking on the top? Did it crack when it baked? That often happens. Don't need the glasses on really, although I want to read some. Quite often when an oven is a little bit uneven and you get a small amount of heat coming in, well, more heat coming in from one side than the other, you get a sort of like a rising difference, and you get a crack in the cake. That quite often happens. Hiya, Kelly.
No, it means you may have a crack at making it.
Well, Michelle read it to me, said she had a crack in the cake.
No, it says made my cake already, but may have a crack at it.
In it, I thought you said.
No, at it.
Oh, okay.
I might have said in it.
I think she said in it. Rewind. Check. I'm sure she said in it. So anyway, it's not a bad thing to say. If you bake a cake, particularly a heavy fruit cake, a cake that has got some density and it's not going to rise like a sponge cake, if you see that cracking, it could quite often be because your oven's a little bit uneven. And there's nothing too much you can do about that. You can try to find the right spot in your oven, but well, we're not worried for our Christmas cake. That's what I was going to say. You're not worried because you'll see in the video over this weekend how you can cover all those sins up. It's not too difficult to do.
Ignatia says, is it a moldable almond paste?
Yeah, very moldable. You want very fine. The finer your almond meal is, the more moldable the paste becomes. So you can sometimes find almond meal that's a little bit coarse, and then it can be harder to get nice smooth shapes. And marzipan throughout the world, well, throughout Europe anyway, certainly throughout Europe, is used time and time again for molding. I think even when we were in Sicily the year before last for Christmas, there was loads of marzipan animals and fruit.
Kelly says hi, Steve.
I did. I said hi to Kelly.
Sorry. Jonathan said, will you make a stollen? Something I haven't done yet.
I haven't done stollen on the channel yet, Jonathan, and I love stollen, but we've just not got round to doing it. So I'm probably not able to do it. Like I said, the reason we're kind of going to be a bit inundated with videos is because where we're traveling at the moment, we're doing a lot of filming, but we haven't quite got the facilities to do any cooking shows. So I thought you'd actually, you just deleted it. No, you just block him.
Raven said, am I late? No, you're not late, Sean.
You're not late, Sean, no.
Is volume low or are we being quiet?
Is my volume low? Let me try. Let me just try. How about that? Is the volume better? Just tell me whether the volume picked up a little bit. I hope I didn't just blast you, those of you that have just adjusted your sets.
I'm good, Kelly, thank you.
So did the volume change and did it get better? Because if so, I'll go back to the previous microphone.
Ryan W said volume is fine. And Boda said, I just searched for images of marzipan. It looks like those jiggly cakes made of cream cheese. It also looks like flan. Volume is better.
Yeah.
So no, marzipan, not really not jiggly. It's marzipan's quite firm, isn't it?
Marzipan is almost like plasticine. So yeah, it's not them. If you get comments you don't like, Michelle, you don't delete them. Just block them. Yeah, okay. We don't need to warn people to behave. We just say cheerio.
Okay.
No issues.
Well, Jonathan says, got a dash, got to get the toddler in bed. Thanks, Stephen. I'll watch the rest later. Take it easy, buddy, and thanks, Michelle.
No worries, Jonathan. So so yes, it's just really to let everybody know. Tomorrow we'll be showing you how to make marzipan. Over the weekend, we're going to be doing the Christmas cake. There's something else I've planned for Sunday. So I'm talking about, I know the dates vary around the world, but I think over the next 3 days, we're going to have recipes going up. They're remade, remastered versions of our previous recipes. And I'm also working on loads and loads of vlogs. So all good. So I've got Michelle on the case now. I probably could do with some of you guys moderating. We never used to get the odd plonker coming into Steve's kitchen, but they do seem to come in now. And I think it's because when you do a live stream, you get sort of I don't think subscribers necessarily get notification, but I think people often search for what's going live locally and they'll sort of just drop in, but they can drop straight out again, because the people that are here now are the people that are part of the community, and that's you guys are all cool.
So Syntex says, I don't have a cake tin. Can you use a sandwich tin instead to make Christmas cake, or won't it work? And audio is great.
Yeah, did the audio change, by the way? So who was it? Was it Raven North that said the audio was a little bit quiet? I'm going to show you the difference. I've got two different microphones. One here, testing 1 2 3 microphone 1, and testing 1 2 3 microphone 2. So, which microphone sounds better on the live stream?
Okay, we'll wait for everybody. But getting back to using sandwich tins to make the Christmas cake, that's not really very, it's not deep enough. But you could put paper if you have the base of it. You can put strong enough paper.
Sandwich tin.
He says, I don't have a cake tin. You can you use sandwich tins instead to make Christmas cake, or won't it work?
What do you call a sandwich tin?
Like Victoria sponge tin.
A low cake tin. Yeah. You could do. The problem is if you're baking a rich fruit cake, you do it on a fairly low temperature and you bake it over a slow period. Now, the reason you do that is for it to cook all the way through, but it also means you get a nice crust on the outside and you get a softer, more moist center to the fruit cake. Now, if you do it in very thin layers, as you bake that on the lower temperature, and you can't really increase the temperature because there's a lot of sugar and a lot of richness in the cake, it will burn. So if you bake that really slow, what you're going to end up is with almost two sort of biscuits. You'll have a lot. If you cut a good fruit cake through, you'll see a very dark edge, and then it goes to a lighter, more moist cake, and down to a dark edge. If you do it in a sandwich tin, which is only about maybe 1.5 to 2 inches deep, that darkness will go through and hit, and you'll only get a very thin layer of the moist moist cake inside, which we can technically feed, but I don't think it would work that well. I would not do it in a sandwich tin, as you call it, or a shallow baking tin.
So Boda says, can you make ladyfingers from marzipan?
So hi Stephen Harrison, and I saw a couple of.
It was Joey and the Arena says, hi Steve from Puerto Rico, Merry Christmas.
Hey Joey, and hi Ryan, if I haven't said hello already. So what your question was asked?
Can you make ladyfingers from marzipan?
Ladyfingers are the like trifle biscuits, so no, not really. It's a very different style of technique. One's a very light and airy, crisp and dry biscuit, and the other one is more like modelling chocolate, but with a almond flavour.
Buddha says that the sound both sound great with regard to the sound.
Okay, so I'm going to leave microphone 2 unless anybody else has commented on that, but I'm going to leave this microphone plugged in. Maybe it was just a little bit, maybe Raven North, you were just a little bit quiet on your volume, because this should be picking up. Do you like my yellow pen? This comes with the Samsung Note. Where's the camera? So it's the Samsung pen, and I found that if I reach with my hand to do the, flip through the notes, I get my finger coming in, but if I do it with the pen, you don't tend to see so much.
I'm going to put the link up for our ladies' fingers that you made.
Yes, there was Ladyfingers are different. They're a sort of wet, quite a wet batter that you pipe onto a tray and bake. It's a slow bake. Stephen, the most beautiful country. I mean, Australia is pretty beautiful. If you see some of the filming we did over the last couple of days in Wilson's promontory, it's gorgeous. But then again, I don't think I've been to a country yet that isn't beautiful. I mean, every country I visit is beautiful in its own way. Excuse me, I'm a bit gassy today. I think I've probably been up too early, working too late.
He says, for me, it's Slovenia.
Yeah, Slovenia's very pretty. I mean, all the way around Slovenia, Croatia, Greece, they're all very beautiful, but I really couldn't say one country is prettier than the other, because I've been in central Bangkok in Thailand and seen the most awesome views and sights. So it's kind of relative. When we drove to the Grand Canyon in the US, it was spectacular, but then there have been places I've seen in much smaller parts of we were driving through the Pyrenees in Spain some years back, and came across a canyon that nobody had visited. I mean, it was just virtually not even on the map, and it was absolutely awe-inspiring. So yeah, everywhere's beautiful.
So Raven North is saying to Stephen, come visit Canada, it's beautiful too.
Yeah, Canada we haven't been to, and it's really high on the list of places we want to go to. Whether or not we'll get there this 2019.
He was inviting Stephen Harrison.
You were inviting Stephen Harrison. Oh, well, there you go. That's Michelle's interpretation. You can correct her if she's wrong. So lots of vlogs. We went to a little town. I mentioned this in the previous show, Torridon, and we've got a vlog on that. We've got lots going on in December. So I'm sorry if I end up bombarding you with more videos than normal. Hey Mona, how are you? I'm sorry if I end up bombarding you with a few more. Hey Petri.
Wanted to say quick hi, too tired to make it through the whole live stream.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yes, Sean, you did invite us to a cold Christmas and to make Christmas poutine.
We will get to Canada. In many ways, there's going to become a period in the next 2 or 3 years where I'm going to spend quite a lot of time on the the Americas. So probably between Canada, South America, and the US, but we just haven't got there yet.
So, Syntex, I bought a couple of pumpkins a few weeks ago and still haven't used them yet. Do you have any ideas of what to use them for, or recipes that use that pumpkin?
Well, I've got if you've got those pumpkins left over, you should get them turned into a pumpkin puree, which is so easy to do. I mean, you can certainly bake pumpkin and use it almost like a roasted vegetables style thing. But what we tend to do, how come my phone's making noise with that plugged in?
Yes.
What we tend to do is make it in like the canned pumpkin, and then I've got quite a few recipes. I'd make it all into pumpkin bread because I love pumpkin bread. I mean, there's a recipe, I'll get Michelle to share it to you, pumpkin bread on Steve's Kitchen, and if you can get them and stew that, cut all it up into, dice it and make it into your own pumpkin, which you can then bag up to make the pumpkin puree and then store it, bags and bags of it at the end of Halloween. And then we would store it and just use it through the year. It can go into soups, it can go into stews, it can go into desserts, it can go into pumpkin pie, pumpkin bread. There's so much you can do with it. Nigel loves Lang Lang. Are you from Lang Lang, Nigel? I love Lang Lang. It's a great place, lovely people. Bodhi said, what's a kangaroo taste like? I'm thinking of ordering some. Now, kangaroo tastes really good. It's a very healthy and very interesting meat, almost like a beautiful piece of beef fillet when you get it, but there are many different cuts of kangaroo. So you've got the tail, you've got the thigh, there's all sorts of cuts. So I haven't had every single cut of kangaroo. When I've had it's always been excellent, but you can get some really ropey kangaroo as well. So make sure that if you're getting it from a source, that you get some reviews from that source and people are saying it's a good supplier.
Jamaican girl Kelly said, I'm just wrapping up some small prezzies for my sister. How's the weather where you are?
Weather is on and off, Kelly. Yesterday we sort of got up and it was all overcast, and the heavy sort of pressure goes down, your sinuses you feel sleepy and you don't feel like to do something. So we set off to climb a mountain and just had a ball of a day, and the weather picked up. We had a little bit of the weather picked up. So at the moment, it's not feeling to us like summer's just around the corner. It's feeling like winter is just dragging on. Melbourne can be a little bit like that sometimes.
So Nigel said the community wants the Indian review. P.S. I live in North Wales. Because we walked past the Indian place.
Yeah, but I couldn't hear you. P.S.
Okay, P.S. He lives in North Wales.
Now, the Indian restaurant in Lang Lang, I've been down there about 6 times now. He's never open. I'm sure possibly I'm just missing it.
We did smell it once, but it still wasn't open.
No, it was, so I'm not sure what their opening hours are. Yeah, I probably am not going to be able to do that. Much as we'll get other opportunities to do other restaurants.
Stephen Harrison said, did you have a favourite food as a child? Mine was, and probably still is, spaghetti bolognese.
I always love spag bog. Good spag bog is always good. I probably, as a child, see at the moment, Michelle would know what is my favourite sort of meal or my comfort food, but actually it's not something I really had a lot as a child. To be honest, as a child, I went through a stage, I always remember, of loving burgers, just having burgers and burgers and burgers. I think I ate burgers, hamburgers with cheese, without cheese, in white bread rolls I think I went for about a year of eating nothing but burgers. And they weren't particularly good either. They weren't sort of like, gourmet burgers. They were just anything. I think when you're young and you're kind of just getting through life and, I was an outdoor sort of kid, so I rarely ever came home. So we were out all the time, quick back home, burgers, some onions on it maybe, and out again, And if it was late in the evening, out the window until my father used to come and chase me and get me home.
Cap Tip says, just wondering, not including YouTube, what sort of work you did or do you do?
Um, I'm pretty, at the moment, we don't. We just travel and enjoy ourselves. But I've done. It's probably a much more complex video. What I have done, what I've done, because it's just too much. Too much over the years. We don't tend to stand still very long. Michelle and I, we're always up to something and always having fun.
So Raven North said, I would love to work with some Roo leather. If I ever made a bullwhip, I want it to be quality Roo.
Okay.
And then Syntex said, I never tried pumpkin bread, and also do you need a blender food processor to make pumpkin puree?
No. You can make pumpkin puree with just a regular sort of potato masher. Doesn't even need that, to be honest. By the time you actually simmer it down, it almost breaks apart to it by itself. So check that video out that I made. All those pumpkins you have, by the way, for Halloween, the regular pumpkins. Somebody said to me, oh, you can't eat that pumpkin. You can eat that pumpkin and it's delicious. Those carved pumpkins, don't let them rot. A bit late now probably, but don't let them rot on the doorstep. Day after or 2 days after Halloween, get them in, give them a good clean through, dice them up and eat them. They're good eating. So
Nigel said, I had Vesta chow mein lol. There were those, I think they're boxes of
Vesta chow mein. Yeah, that's the sort of stuff I used to. It's the sort of stuff I used to eat when I was a youngster, and I was out a lot. I always recall I was out a lot. We didn't watch a lot of television.
Didn't have a mobile phone to call back in.
Didn't have a mobile phone to call us back in, so I was out a lot, and I didn't mind. We used to live. Now, my American friends will remember this, and probably they already still have it. But we used to live in a big American community where I was, and went through a stage of these TV dinners, these American TV dinners. Now, to Australians and to Europeans, we really don't understand what a TV dinner is. They're pretty disgusting, to be honest. But I went through a whole stage of I used to go to the commissary, and we would get many different TV dinners, all different flavors, and they would have like a little lump of sort of potato in a corner. They'd have an apple pie over in this corner. They'd have some sort of meat dish, and so they'd have the whole dinner inside the thing. And they used to microwave these things, and then you take the lid off, and you had this. What's up?
I'm just laughing.
I was just nodding like that. I thought she doesn't want me to talk about it, but I just love them. I must admit, I never sort of ever found one that I'd eat twice on a row, but if I ever saw one, I wanted to get it, because all my American friends used to say, oh, we love TV dinners. They were massively disappointing. The potato always ended up like sort of baby food. The meats and everything that used to heat up. So you're talking about the chow mein, Vesta chow mein. Yeah, I went through a stage of trying every American TV dinner, and that was kind of fun.
So Boda said, what's his favourite, Michelle? Sausage and mashed potato and tinned tomatoes.
Yeah, really good quality English sausages. They can't be beef, they have to be pork. Really, and homemade if I get the chance to make them myself. Really good quality pork sausages. Plain mashed potato with potatoes, mind you, ideally sort of King Edward's, Desiree, and mash and just tinned tomatoes.
So Mona saying, what's your favourite food, Michelle?
Brown sauce.
Oh, brown sauce was his. I don't really have a favourite. I like curries at the moment. I quite like a good curry when Steve makes me one.
Michelle likes my curries that I make, and she's really very easy, because both of us will eat almost anything. So we're never sort of at the stage where we say, oh, what can we have today? Or, well, you don't like this or you don't like that, because we eat everything and anything.
So Ryan says, I have 2 pumpkins left from my patch this year. I'm going to make some of that pumpkin bread. And he also said a bit lower down, it's really good roasted with salt, pepper and olive oil.
Yes, and don't also forget to get those pumpkin seeds out when you get them, and roast the pumpkin seeds in your oven. Put some spices, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of cayenne pepper. Just roast those pumpkin seeds, and you eat the whole thing. So you'll get heaps of them out of a big pumpkin. Lay them out, get all the sort of sinew that's around them, get that off because that's a little bitter. Just get the seeds and roast them, and they are so good. You can sit and sort of eat those.
Boda said, are you self-taught or did you go to culinary school?
Michelle went to culinary school when I was self-taught, so pretty much everything. You'll find a lot of people that work as chefs, they generally are, they fall into two categories. You've either got your self-taught, your culinary schools. I mean, people like Gordon Ramsay, Jamie Oliver, all self-taught really. And then you've got those that go to culinary school, and there's always a sort of bit of a competition between the two. But Michelle and I come from two different camps, and we both are as good as each other, I think.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'm a bit better.
Harold Finch says, hi, Stevie.
Hi, Harold.
Raven said, never had bolognese. What is it?
Never had bolognese?
Spaghetti bolognese.
I don't even believe that could be possible.
Spag bog.
Spag bog. Spaghetti bolognese. Spaghetti bolognese are the long Italian pastas, the spaghetti pasta, which is called spaghetti. And bolognese is like a, it's a ragu, a sort of like a meat enriched ragu, tomato sauce ragu, usually pretty rich, and you put that on top of your spaghetti. So it's pretty simple, but it's one of those staple meals in Australia that parents go to, very easy to make.
Stephen Harrison says, where do you keep your 100,000 subscriber award?
I didn't open it, Stephen. I was sent it while we were traveling. We were probably in Mexico, I think. Well, I know we were in Mexico when I got the 100,000. It's in its box somewhere. I'm not. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It doesn't. My subscribers mean everything to me, but 100,000 subscribers means nothing to me, if you know what I mean. So my subscribers are what's important, not the amount of subscribers that we have.
So Ryan says, I am an American and can't stand TV dinners. Horrible, but I do love a good Salisbury steak. Make it a few times a year. Beautiful.
Salisbury steak we had. I really haven't. It's not a terminology we use in Australia. I did have it in the US, and I can see that's another popular sort of comfort food. I think a lot of Americans like to turn to. I thought everyone had spag bog.
Oh, well, Raven a bit later on says, I've had spaghetti with meat sauce.
Spaghetti bolognese.
Nigel says, sorry to sound like a stuck record, but we love lang lang. Ryan says, I like the seeds with chipotle and lime. And Craig L. Young says, put taco seasoning salt on the pumpkin seeds for added flavour.
Yes. I mean, you can do anything really with those pumpkin seeds. You can make them as spicy as you want. You can make them as salty and savoury as you want. You can even make them sweet. I've known people that will put a little bit of nutmeg and cinnamon on them, make them a little bit sweet. You've got to be careful if you put any sugars on them at all, because if you roast them in the oven, the sugars may burn. So you've got to be a little careful there. But they do actually work quite nice as sweet.
So Braden Hope says hi.
Hey Braden, how are you?
Mona says, love curry too. Michelle warms you all the way through from top to toes and back again.
That's
Absolutely.
true.
Absolutely.
And we are we're big Indian food lovers as well. We've always loved. I used to say to my children quite often on Christmas time, when I'm not okay. Quite a few times I would have said to my kids at Christmas time, it's a really special time of year and I want to make something that you all love. So what do you want me to do? And obviously many years we've done the normal sort of roast, goose, you know, turkey, duck, hams and things. But once or twice I've said to the children, I said, you know, what would you like me to do? And they say, they've unanimously said, we really like a nice curry for Christmas. And they don't mean just like I make a plain curry. I do the whole thing. We make the dal and the vegetable curries and the beef curries and the fresh naan breads. So we put on a huge spread. We've got raitas in there. We've got gulab jamun for desserts, all homemade. Everything's homemade. So we've done that before, and I know it sounds a little bit odd, but I think some of the nicest Christmas dinners we've had have been when we let the children just kind of say, you know, what would you really like for Christmas? Bit odd, probably, but we're a bit odd.
Syntax says, do you just eat roasted pumpkin seeds just as a snack?
Yeah, people do. A lot of seeds can be roasted as snacks, and in Southeast Asia, you see a lot of time people eating the little pepita seeds from different types of squashes and things. Some of them you need to crack open, take the little soft flesh out from the center. Pumpkin seeds, you can pretty much eat the whole thing. The fiber is really good for you.
So Raven North said, okay, Google the spaghetti bolognese, and yes, I've had it. We just called it spaghetti. Learn something new.
Well, no, spaghetti is the, well, you can call it what you like, but spaghetti is the terminology is the cut of pasta. So spaghetti is just the pasta. It's every type of pasta, whether it's tagliatelle, fettuccine, spaghetti, lasagna, it's the actual cut of pasta. So it's how thick it's cut, whether it's slightly wider, flat cuts, round cuts. So yes, spaghetti is just a cut of pasta.
And Nigel says to Raven North, spaghetti bolognese is massive in the UK.
It is.
And Craig L. Young says to Mona, there's also Cajun salt that goes well with the pumpkin seeds they're talking about.
Yeah, I'm sorry guys, I keep reaching out to the thing. For some reason my comments have just stopped scrolling.
Mona said that's an absolutely beautiful way to bring up children to get involved in Christmas. Gosh, please adopt the rest of us.
Well, we always had a lot of home cooking. Michelle and I have always been, you know, big cooks, so everything's always been homemade. We've done pretty much every sort of traditional style of Christmas. I've boned out chickens and put chicken in chicken, you know, done a turducken or, you know, turkey and a chicken. We've made lots of homemade hams, but because we have always as a family eaten almost everything and anything, I think our kids ended up with quite a varied palate.
So Boda says, I love peposo. I highly recommend it. If you haven't had it, you can use short ribs or oxtail.
Peposo, I'm not familiar. Michelle, maybe could you Google it? And
but I love oxtail.
Oxtail's great. We make the soup. Oxtail soup is a very rich broth sort of soup that's quite popular. Less popular now, actually. I don't see oxtail soup. You don't see a lot of people. Lancashire hot pot, which used to be a favourite of ours, is made with the neck of lamb, and it's got all the flavour that comes with what we call scrag end or neck of lamb.
So
oxtail soup.
A Tuscan beef stew.
Oh, a Tuscan beef stew.
Yeah, so it's
okay. I haven't come across that. Okay, that looks nice.
Looks nice.
We need to just make a little note to self, note to everybody else. Is there any way of getting these comments to stay on the screen less than 100th of a second? So Stephen, you've just written, have a wonderful night, the two of you, need to get up early to work. My psychological report, psychological report. See you next time. See, it stays on my screen for about 1-2 seconds. I can't read that in 2 seconds. Then I have to reach out and
so Nigel says it's amazing that pasta tastes so different depending on the shape.
Yes, because it quite often also some pastas are made with different flours as well. You'll get egg-free pastas. You can get tortellini. Tastes a little different because When a pasta's got scoops or texture on it, it holds more sauce, and when it's smooth and flat, it holds less sauce, and it can really affect the flavors, but also
Yeah, psychology, not psychological.
I did wonder whether it was psychology. I read it as psychology, Stephen. Anyway, good night.
Good night.
You're good.
Get to work.
Yeah, I can scroll the chat. I mean, look, okay, here's my pen rather than my finger. I can scroll the chat so I can read it, take my pen away, wait 1, 2 seconds, it's gone again. So if
I'm a fast reader and even I can't read them all.
No, and I keep reaching out and sort of scrolling. But anyway, I'm not going to sit and moan about that. Syntax, I love carbonara as well. I particularly love really traditional carbonara made without cream, and you know, so you make the carbonara as I did on my channel, which is just made with eggs and cheese. So what did we start this live stream for?
Talking about doing the Christmas videos
and always to say hello.
The vlogs.
I'm not going to let it go over an hour today, ladies and gentlemen, because I think it's a little bit too long for people to watch back. Go on.
No, I'm getting the carbonara recipe, so.
Okay.
Sorry.
Butternut squash pasta like the pumpkin. See, I can't read. You read out rhymes or one of the new.
Okay.
I'll let Michelle read them because
I got some butternut.
Kick back here.
I got some butternut squash pasta shaped like pumpkins with tops cut off holds the sauce great, because someone says that, Nigel said, thanks Steve, yes, it's how the shape of the pasta holds the sauce.
Yeah, we particularly like the little shells or the tortellini, and macaroni also fills with, you know, the sauce, and that's why mac and cheese is so popular, because the sauce can get inside if you get a nice sort of runny mac and cheese. But pretty much, yes, I mean, the pasta itself doesn't change much, although there are some pastas that are made with slightly different flours and they can change the way the pasta tastes. But the dishes themselves. Now, carbonara is a favourite of ours. I've got a good recipe for carbonara. I really, really do like it with proper guanciale, which is the pig cheek.
I'll just put the recipe up with that one with the guanciale on that.
Yeah, because when I had carbonara in Italy some years back, we had it in northern, sort of central northern Italy, in a town called Lucca, which is just below Florence. That's where I think the tradition of carbonara comes from, or at least that's where the tradition of guanciale comes from, which is a pig cheek bacon. It was just amazing. I mean, when you have it in its authentic surroundings, made by passionate Italians who really understand it, it's so good. So you try to recreate that, and it's delicious, really delicious.
So Mona says oxtail is gorgeous with the bone marrow as well, just adds depth.
Yeah, bone marrow, greatly overlooked, adds a lot of flavour. Just having the bone also in the oxtail when you're cooking with oxtail adds all the extra sort of complexity of flavour that you don't often get if you're just having meats.
Raven North said, need more likes on this stream, guys. Yes, hit that thumbs up.
I thought you said need more lights. I thought it was quite bright. Likes, yes, hit the thumbs up. Everybody in at the moment, hit the thumbs up. Pound that thumbs up and just sort of get us a little bit higher on there. I don't know what it does. It's kind of fun though to see a few extra thumbs up on there.
Kelly says, what's your favourite coffee brew you've ever tried in a different country?
I've had so many good coffees and so many really bad coffees around the world, but I think one of the most fun ones, Kelly, was that Vietnamese egg coffee that we had when we were in Vietnam. It was like sort of floating eggnog on top of really nice, rich coffee. But I think some of the best coffees are yet to come. I'm hoping we can get to Turkey and have Turkish coffee in a Turkish bazaar. I'm hoping that we can get across to Northern Africa and have some of the coffee that they have there. So I think it's yet to come. But most recently, the most fun one I think has been the Vietnamese egg coffee, which was just kind of really, really tasty. Now, a lot of people are a bit sort of iffy about raw egg, but if you're not iffy about raw egg, Vietnamese egg coffee is really good. And you don't need the Vietnamese egg coffee press. You can actually just use almost any coffee press to make it, and yummy.
So Syntex says, bye Steve, I've got to go now, feeling tired.
Bye Syntex.
It's 1:23 here in the UK. Nigel says, done, that's hit the thumbs up. Nigel says, freshly made pasta the best, Steve.
Nigel,
yes.
Do you know, I think when I was younger, because my family would have had fairly traditional English styles of food, and we did, my mother used to make a really lovely lasagna, but I don't think we really experimented with fresh pastas. And it was when I was an adult myself that I started making my own fresh pastas. And I think if you haven't had fresh made pasta before, it not only is so easy to make, I mean, I could make it here on the counter in, 5 minutes. And it's quicker than it would, almost as quick as it would be to open the packet. It's so easy to make. And if you season it and make it, when you cook fresh pasta, it just tastes so much nicer. I mean, even the sort of the stuff you buy in the supermarkets that's marketed as fresh, so it's maybe a little bit supple, or it's got that sort of artisanal look for it, doesn't taste anything like as nice as freshly made pasta. Freshly made pasta is almost like little dumplings of pasta that just puff up, So when you pop it into the fresh pasta into the water, it really puffs up, and it takes 30 seconds to a minute to cook. You never get that even with sort of like the fancy home fresh pastas they sell in some of the stores. You never get that sort of quality. I am a fidget, by the way. Michelle will tell you.
I can't sit still.
I can't sit still. I can't sit down for very long. Michelle can sit, and I've seen people doing vlogs, these live streams, that seem to be able to sit in the same spot for hours and hours.
But that's why you like doing the live streams out and about as well, because you're moving around.
I can't.
But talking of the comments, because you can't read your comments when you're out and about, because Bola says if you have a laptop, it makes reading the comments easier. Or if you use another phone with another account to read the comments.
Do you know, if you do it on the laptop, it is so much easier.
But you can't out and about.
And I should have possibly thought about that and done it. Hit the thumbs up, everybody. Get me up to 20. I probably should have done it on the laptop, because I do remember actually that you can see the comments so much better on a laptop. But couldn't Google just make it a little bit easier and leave the comments on the screen to the left side? It would be just so much easier to read.
Just leave them and let them scroll.
Yeah, they don't need to be faded out. I don't need to see myself that well. In many ways, I'd be better not to be able to see myself. There's been lots of comments, Michelle. Have I missed?
No, I'm just saying hi to Jan. Just saying hi to me because she said hi to you already.
Hi, Jan.
Raven Knoll says, I like making logos just for fun, Steve, and I made one for an imaginary restaurant called Forever, and was thinking about the chat in Lang Lang about the forever. Ryan says Arab coffee with cardamom is very good. Well, that sounds lovely.
Wow, yeah, that reminds me of the Indian teas we used to have with a lot of nice cardamom in them. Masala teas, they often have cardamom. Yeah, I love those flavors.
Nigel said, thanks for answering the fresh pasta question, Steve. Appreciate it.
Got to try fresh pasta, Nigel, if you haven't.
Jan said, I made seafood fettuccine in my final in cooking class several years ago.
Seafood fettuccine. It's a really simple. Most of the classic Italian dishes are simple and very quick to cook. Pasta alla norma is really very easy and very simple and so delicious. Puttanesca, which I've also got with the olives, and I think I've got a recipe for that. I won't get Michelle to put them all up because I just cluttered the comments.
But maybe put the pasta playlist in the description later.
Yeah.
And Mona says 2:25 in New Zealand. Work is calling. Take care.
Hey, Mona.
Steve and Michelle. Ignatius says, I think the comments disappearing is a glitch.
It's not a glitch. It's always been there. And for some people, I can see why they didn't want it to be on the screen, but I think the option should be there just to sort of click and say, actually, I like to have my comments on the screen, leave them there forever.
Ruby Slipper says, evening or just out of hospital.
Oh, Ruby, I hope you're feeling good. I hope you're feeling better being out of hospital.
Craig L. Young says, Steve, when are you going to do the funnel cakes?
Probably not, to be honest. I've been talking about, I think the first time we talked about doing funnel cakes was with Anne of Easy Gluten Free, a great friend of mine in Philadelphia and a YouTuber also, many years ago. And I thought I was going to do the funnel cakes this series, the American Fairground series that we did. I tell you what happened is that we were doing heaps and heaps of those fried recipes, and as I was doing them, I was thinking I was putting on weight, and I was kind of saying to Michelle, I said, I don't think this is healthy to eat all this heavy food. And I kind of tried to pick out a few that were a little less we'll get round to doing, but I was trying to sort of get away from just deep frying everything, because it was driving me around the bend. Because when you make a series or a recipe for somebody and you want to go and do sort of a deep fried Mars bar or something like that, you have to quite experiment several times to get it to be perfect. I don't like to put up a recipe that doesn't work. I'm always very conscious that it's important that the recipes that we do work perfectly on my end, so that if somebody comes to me and say, oh, that doesn't work, I can say, no, it does work. I've seen a lot of YouTube food presenters that do things, and as they say it, I think, well, that won't work. I've seen that many times, even with some of the very, very popular channels, and they kind of do stuff and I think, well, that's impossible, that cannot work, and they do it anyway, and then they show something at the end that really is impractical, or they couldn't have made with the system they did. So we do tend to we chip away at the recipe until we get it perfect. So what I'm trying to say is we end up eating a lot more. If I do a deep fried Mars bar, you can guarantee that I haven't done it one time. I've done it maybe 15 times, probably about 3 or 4 times. So it really ends up becoming hard for us to sadly throw some of that stuff away, which I hate waste.
Craig said, Steve, of course fair food is not healthy, that's why the fair is only once a year.
It is, Craig, but I had a period in
long fair
in Perth where I felt like I was living in a fairground, because I was eating it every single day. So I did try to slow down a little bit on some of the fried stuff, and there'd be an opportunity. I'll probably be in the US one day with some people who really know their funnel cakes, and I'll learn a little bit from them and I'll share it back to you.
Mr. Old Clunker says, howdy folks.
Hey, Mr. Old Clunker. Hit that thumbs up, get me up to 20.
You're up to 20?
Not on mine.
Oh, I are on mine. See, it doesn't coordinate.
Michelle doesn't coordinate with me. She clashes.
Everybody's wishing Ruby to get well soon.
Yeah, we hope so, Ruby. I hope you... I do hope that everything's good, and sending love to you from Australia. Yeah, Craig, I know. So it is. And when we go to a fairground or a big event like that, we always want to pick 1 or 2 or 3 things that are going to have, bring that event to us. And that was probably one of those times where I had a series that I wanted to do, and many of the recipes that I planned to do didn't get done in the end, because we just were just run out of time, and stood on the scales every day and seemed to be going out, or really quite frustratingly ended up throwing a lot of stuff away because I couldn't find people to give it to. It's very hard in Australia just to take stuff, for example, down to, you know, a retirement home or a children's home and hand it to them. I've had this before when I used to make my cakes here. You can't give them to an orphanage or a children's school or a homeless place because they're not allowed to take them because of health and safety reasons. It's very frustrating. Anyway, let's not think about that nonsense. We are going to be, just for those of you that have just come in, we're doing a lot of vlogging. We're getting out and about and doing stuff, but I'm also going to be putting up a lot of Christmas recipes, but they're not brand new recipes. Some of my older Christmas recipes on the channel now have they don't work properly because the annotations, I'll say to people, you know, click here to see part 2. So we've been looking at the really good Christmas recipes we've done, and I've been remastering them, working with the colors, cutting and changing them around. It's a lot of work, but I still think these recipes are so good, such classics, that we're going to be putting them up over the coming 3 weeks up to Christmas. So we are going to be getting through all the usual sort of stuff. Tomorrow I'm going to be putting up marzipan, so I want you all to get up and try homemade marzipan. You will love it. We're going to be putting our Christmas cake up in a full series, so all 3 parts will be together in one video. I've kind of cut everything down, recolored it, changed it so there are no annotations in there that won't work. It's a really lovely traditional Christmas cake. And somebody did say it is a little expensive to get all the dried fruit. It can be a little expensive, but trust me, it is worth it. If you get a cake from a supermarket, a fruit cake from a supermarket, and you break it open and rub it between your hands like that, and all over the table, and by the time you look down, you're going to have like a handful of raisins and maybe 2 glacé cherries. If you make a homemade fruit cake, it's going to be heavy and dense and rich with fruit.
So Raven North wanted the mincemeat link shared again. I've done that. Craig says, just take them to a Cub Scout meeting, they'll disappear. I don't know whether we could take them to a Cub Scout meeting. No,
you couldn't. You couldn't take them to a Scout meeting. They would. They have to. We have got regulations have gone crazy in Australia.
Raven North says, if the weather is nice, wouldn't mind seeing you fly your drone. Flew it like yesterday, didn't we?
Flew it. We've flown it 2 or 3 times this last week. It'll be appearing in some of the videos we're doing shortly.
Nigel says, I feel fortunate to found your channel.
Thanks, Nigel.
And Mr. Old Clunker says, absolutely love mincemeat pies.
Well, I'm working on the mincemeat series again. They are the older videos, but I'm kind of remastering them and cleaning them up. They're going to be up for this Christmas, and I want all of you, if you can, if you celebrate Christmas and you enjoy Christmas, at the very least, give the mince pies a try, and don't just go out and buy one of these little jars of Robinson's mincemeat. Get them, even if you make mine very simple, it'll be going up in the next 10 days. You'll be seeing the recipe for making your own homemade mincemeats. It's really worth doing. You get tons and tons of it. Buy a little jar, it'll cost you sort of, between $5 and $10. Make your own. You end up with about 14 jars of mincemeat, and you consider make them throughout the season. So you can make them now, you can make them for all your families and friends coming up to Christmas, and you can make them on Christmas Day and just have a ball. And I'm going to show you different versions of mince pies that you can make, because there are some really quick and easy ones you can do with puff pastry. There's a short crust with the sweet sugar in it, and my favorite one's a savory short crust.
Raven North says, Steve, announce the Steve's Kitchen meetup and you won't have any leftovers.
Yeah, that would be. See, I could do that. I can give them. I frequently give stuff to neighbours and friends.
When we were in Palm Springs, we gave them to the gatehouse.
Yeah, we used to give them to the gatehouse in Palm Springs. In Perth, there was a homeless guy that I often used to give stuff to, and then I couldn't find him. So I couldn't find him to give the stuff to, so we ended up, some of the things don't last that long, so you got to be careful. Yeah, I forgot that in Palm Springs. Yeah. We were cooking stuff in Palm Springs, and we'd be sat there saying, oh, we did a bacon and egg muffins.
Yes, we did.
And you've got to bake like a dozen or so of these, sometimes 2 dozens, and sometimes we'll bake it 2 or 3 times. So Michelle and I can't sit and eat sort of 24. I know you should, a lot of you say, well, you can. We can't. So we would never throw them away. I gave them to the neighbours, and I gave them to the gatehouse at the place we were staying in Palm Springs, and they loved it. Every time we drove in and out of the complex we were staying in, we'd have, here's some more cakes.
So you're up to over your hour.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to say. Tomorrow, look out for homemade marzipan. Do give it a try if you can. You won't regret it. And also, over the weekend, we're going to be putting up the Christmas cake. I've just finished rendering off the revised version of that. So I've taken all my Christmas cake videos from previous years and put them together in a compilation, so you can see from baking the cake to feeding the cake to decorating the cake all in one video. So you'll be able to see that over the weekend, and we will put something else up as well. But I've also got some cool vlogs out and about here, so it's going to be a busy December. I hope you enjoy it all.
Ryan says, I have a bunch of raw almonds, going to try to make marzipan from scratch. Hope my food processor is up to it. My grandmother makes mince from scratch. It's so good.
Yeah, it is.
And
fair dinkum it is.
Yeah, well, that's what Fionn Barra says. Do Aussie say fair dinkum a lot, or is it stereotypical?
No, they don't say that ever. Fair dinkum is pretty commonly said in Australia. It just sort of means, you know, absolutely, for sure. It's
particularly out of the cities, they say it a little more, don't they?
Fair dinkum, pretty much. It's not a common phrase I use, but it's there's a lot of really cool Australian phrases. Maybe one day we'll do a little talk about those. Maybe not today, but maybe in the Arvo.
Yes. So I just said, God bless this community. May everyone's hopes and dreams come true.
Yeah, I hope everyone's hopes and dreams and wishes do come true. I hope everyone has a superb Christmas this year, holiday season, whether you celebrate Christmas in whatever tradition you celebrate Christmas. It's always a good time to be in the kitchen baking and making fun and spending time with your families. And yeah, Ruby, I hope you recover quickly out of hospital. And I think I'm going to say goodbye now. Love to you all. See you through this screen tomorrow on when we'll be making marzipan. Take care.